Okay. Hi, everybody. Good afternoon. My name is Ori Goshen, and I'm the co-founder and co-CEO of AI21. And AI21 was founded 7 years ago by myself and my co-founders, Yoav Shoam, who was a professor at Stanford, and Amnon Shashua, who was a professor at Hebrew University. We are a frontier model builder and focused on the enterprise. We build foundation models and AI systems for the enterprise. And we were amongst the first companies in the world to build these foundational models. How many of you recognize this man? Wow. Nobody. Okay, so this is Peter Drucker. He was one of the founding fathers of management theory, and in 1959, he coined the term knowledge work. What is knowledge work? Work is where the primary asset of the worker is the knowledge rather than the manual skill or physical labor. And in the late 50s, when Drucker wrote this quote, knowledge workers were about 15% of the US economy. And today it's around 76%. So it's basically defining the economy. It's our economy. And I really like this quote. In knowledge work, the how only comes after the what has been answered. But first, let's take a look at what work means, what work is. So, things like market and sell products and services or manage customer service isn't a thing in and of itself. If you look closer at it, you can see that it can be broken down into these smaller and smaller tasks. And those tasks, they're what define work. 6 billion tasks. That's all the work. You take the entire small pieces of tasks that I showed earlier, and you sum them up, you get to 6 billion tasks. That's what all the work means. So if work is all of its tasks, and we want to AI all the work, you would need to build an AI system that's really good at understanding the task, breaking it down into steps, executing those steps, and then making sure that each and every step is right. Now let's see this challenge in real time, in action. If you can just scan this QR code, you'll actually have to get to see it. Congratulations, you have to build a Varde. And even though it isn't AI, this demonstrates the 3 challenges that AI has into work. First, break the tasks into steps. IKEA does this amazingly, right? They're taking complex tasks and translating them into very, very simple steps. Then you need to execute those steps, like building the actual furniture. And then you need to make sure, the third thing, you need to make sure you got all the steps right. And there are many of those steps. Now, if you're like me, this does not always happen. And if you get even a single step wrong and keep going, you get to this. Which is exactly what happens when LLMs, or agentic AI systems, tackle multi-step tasks. For simple single steps, LLM often do a pretty good job. They get it right like 90% of the time. But work tasks have multiple steps in them. And suddenly those 10% errors compound, almost guaranteeing a mistake along the process. It would be great if we could, just prompt an LLM and ask it to solve our support tickets every day. But LLMs are not consistent enough, right? They're not providing us with robust answer consistently. So it's hard to guarantee that your React agent, for example, will follow all the needed steps. And remember, in order to complete the task, the agent has to take multiple steps, which guarantee errors at some point. Or, if you don't want that, but still want the agent to be able to follow complex tasks that can resolve, for example, support tickets, most of the time you'll build a static chain, the upper left. The builder will have to specify and build, then think about all the steps and pre-program them. And this takes time, and this is very rigid. And you'd have to build this agentic flow this static agentic flow for each and every task. Enterprises need something like this. It's something like is easy and flexible as just prompting, but solid like static chaining. If only there was a system that does that. Say hi to Maestro. Maestro is our new AI agent for work. It's incredible at building enterprise-grade knowledge agents that automate mission-critical workflows. Developer can use Maestro to specify the instructions, the requirements, the tools that they have in their environment. The system is model agnostic, so you can use any model that is available, and the computational budget that is available for the system to utilize. In this example, we're building a compliance regulation agent. And what's really unique about Maestro is the ability for developers to explicitly state the requirements, the things that the system have to get right, those steps that have to be validated. And additionally, it gives the developer more control over the budget, the computational budget, in terms of time or costs. Then what you get is, of course, a validated output, the result that came out of the agent. And you also get a report card showing these requirements and whether they were satisfied or not by the system and how confident the system is in validating those. You also get an execution graph that can show you a full visibility of what the agent actually did and what was the reasoning behind it. So now let's look behind the scenes using Maestro execution graph. Maestro is actually, because each and every task can be solved in many ways, Maestro is generating multiple plans to solve the task. And then it chooses the optimal plans based on the available resources and needs. In each of these plans, the task, in this case, analyze the document, is broken down into steps. And in this plan, the first step is to get the up-to-date financial regulations, followed by comparing the document, and so on and so forth. Those are the steps. And then each step is compromised with multiple action. It's actually broken down to multiple sub-steps. Like you can think of those as operational steps, like do a web search, conduct a file search, or synthesis something. And in this case, for the first step, the agent will perform a web search and followed by a file search and so on. And Maestro agents can use different models. They can use different retrieval strategies, all running simultaneously to choose the best result. Each of these steps is validated with the Maestro validated output feature. That's key. We want to make sure errors do not compound. Finally, this is what the output looks like. a detailed and validated analysis of all the documents, regulation issues, ready for the compliance team to dig in. Maestro is a significant step towards building AI. The benchmarks that you can see here are truly compelling. These are taking off-the-shelf models and boosting their performance, their accuracy levels dramatically. Our team of experts, our solutions teams, are actually using Maestro to build and deploy reliable agents for enterprises at scale. So we're dogfooding, we're actually using the platform ourselves to help enterprises bridge that accuracy gap that I mentioned. AI21's mission is to create trustworthy artificial intelligence that powers humanity towards super productivity. We spoke about trustworthiness, but what do we mean by super productivity? When people think of the impact of AI on the future of work, they tend to land into one of these two extremes, so to speak. A rosy utopia, where AI does all the work and we all can chill on the beach. Or this horrible dystopia, where AI takes all of our jobs and no one has any money and we're all eating rats. But I think there's a third angle here. There's a third, more interesting story. You know, shortly after Microsoft reached the point where 30% of its code was written by AI, it started a huge round of layoffs. I mean, this story is what we can do, now with less people. And I think we're going to see a few more of these story at first. But take this example. This is another story. Uplovin, by using AI, actually increased or doubled their revenue from $3.6 to $7.6 million while keeping the headcount flat. This is an example. We can do more, much more, with the same amount of people. But there's another angle here. There's another story. In the year 2000, there were about 1 million people in the world doing video content. When YouTube and cheap camera collapsed, creation barriers, it created unbelievable explosion of content creators. 64 million new people have become video creators. This is doing more, so many more, with more people. But it doesn't stop here. In the last 50 years, TV came up with about 15 formats, right? Like sitcom and drama and talk shows and so forth. But these 64 million creators, they came out with hundreds of different formats, new formats. Think about tutorials, think about ASMRs, think about unboxings, things we haven't really imagined, right? Those formats serve needs we never knew we had, or transform like familiar formats, like learning, into something entirely new. I'm an entrepreneur, and what entrepreneurs do is look for underserved needs and markets and try to build things to serve them. If AI can help me speedrun building things, I will not spend my day on the beach. I will look for the next underserved opportunity, and I won't be alone. We're going to see an explosion of humans, individuals and companies, doing what humans have been doing for hundreds of thousands of years, fulfilling the pyramid of human needs. And it's not just Wi-Fi. This is what super productivity is. When AI doesn't make us lazy, it makes us more ambitious. If the exponential explosion of what becomes possible when the gap between ideation and execution approaches to zero. This is super productivity. And AGI, artificial general intelligence, and ASI, artificial superintelligence, are very interesting concepts. I think they're philosophically intriguing. But what we should be aspiring to, demanding even, is super productivity. It isn't about replacing human intelligence. It's about empowering humans to execute faster, solve more problems, and deliver unprecedented value for humanity. Super productivity isn't binary, it's a process. Think of the transformational impact of AIing just 10% of your company's tasks. Suddenly, your company can pursue opportunities you never even considered. This is why we built Maestro, and why we are making it available for enterprises today. This isn't coming. It's here. Build it. Thank you very much.